If you're a snowboarder living in the South, all roads lead to one place.
North Carolina is the gateway to the South. And so if you have any interest in snow sports at all, skiing or snowboarding, you have to go to North Carolina.
And while states like Utah and Colorado might have the biggest mountains and the purest powder, the icy slopes of western North Carolina have become home to some of the sport's biggest names.
Dude, it is just unreal. This is just the best community to grow up in. No one does it like North Carolina.
Man, you gotta want it around here. You gotta want it.
All right, here we go. I'm hitting the jump. Woo.
I'm Anissa Khalifa. This is The Broadside, where we tell stories from our home at the crossroads of the South. This week, how Southern snowboarders are revolutionizing the sport. So, fill in this blank for me. Southern snowboarding is?
Southern snowboarding is dedication. A lot of people especially love to hate on the Southeast because there's no snow, there's no powder. That just means you love it way more.
Josh Sullivan is a social media producer for WUNC News in Durham, North Carolina. He's also an avid snowboarder, to the point that a few years ago, when Josh was thinking about relocating from New England, he wanted to make sure his new home was close to some slopes.
I knew that there was riding in North Carolina from following some of the pros that had come out of the area. And I was like, well, if it's good enough for them, it's got to be good enough for me. Like, I'm nowhere near the ability level that they are. And it has proved true. Like 100%, I will stand by that.
Wow, I did not actually know that snowboarding played a role in your decision to move here.
Yeah.
Since making the leap, he's been following the growing scene that's putting the state on the map.
North Carolina is like, it's kind of everywhere now. I mean, I think if you grow up riding and are still surprised that someone is good and they're from North Carolina or they're from the South, you're just like not paying attention.
I mean, you've got my attention. But when I think about skiing or snowboarding, I think of places out west like Colorado or Utah. So what makes North Carolina stand out?
The biggest thing I have experienced is the inclusivity of it all. If you are in the park, it doesn't matter if you're pro level or if you are like strapping into a board that is older than you are. Like, if you're able to try something, people want to either help you and coach you, or they'll offer to like take your photo or film you. That's number one. It's the most inclusive space I've ever seen in snowboarding.
So that's the culture of the Carolina slopes. But what about the conditions?
Most of the snow is going to be man-made. There are snow guns. Man-made snow is not good quality snow. You have to groom it, you have to pack it, and then it eventually becomes fun to ride. But it also freezes very quickly. It's icy. It gets chunky.
Doesn't it make it more dangerous?
It makes it more dangerous for sure. And like, if you're riding through good quality snow and then you hit an ice patch, you don't have enough time to think. Your muscles just have to react to be able to keep you on your feet.
Now, that chunky ice might sound like a bad thing at first, but Josh says riding on these unpredictable surfaces has an upside. It can actually improve your balance and ultimately help you become a more skilled snowboarder.
Yeah. I mean, we have some of the top pros today that are unbelievable that have come out of the area.
Do you think they have like a bit of a chip on their shoulder when they go to other places to snowboard, sort of the classic snowboard locations?
I think so. I had people tell me that when they were going to nationals after winning the Southeast, people thought they were like a pity invite. Like, oh yeah, we've got to let these people from Tennessee or North Carolina in. And then they would go out and they would podium. They'd get second, third, sometimes even first, or they would pull out a trick that no one had ever thought of doing.
So they're getting underestimated, basically.
Definitely.
But to become one of the best, you need more than just a scrappy attitude.
For people who aren't quite in the know, there might be this kind of perception that snowboarders just kind of like roll out of bed in the morning and throw on, a dirty hoodie and just kind of like head over to the mountain. And it could not be further from the truth.
This is Michelle Bruton. She's the action sports and Olympics writer for Forbes.com. I caught up with her as she was getting ready for the upcoming Winter Olympics in Italy. Michelle says becoming a top rider really boils down to one thing.
The absolute biggest factor, if you want to get to that Olympic level, is going to be time on snow. And then once they're competing and they're in that sort of Olympic qualification cycle, they might be training on snow anywhere from 2 to 6 hours a day. Ultimately, like, that's the most important thing for your sport, is just being able to live close enough to just get, all those hours in as you're young and kind of developing your muscle memory.
So if access to snow is such a huge factor, I mean, North Carolina has produced more than a couple of top athletes. Is that unusual?
It definitely is. North Carolina sort of has a double whammy, right? Because it's got the same kind of icy conditions and lack of powder as the East Coast, but then there's also a lack of elevation to boot.
However, here's another example where training in the South offers a pretty big perk, because this low elevation can actually come in handy.
If you think about when you're on a chairlift in, Colorado, let's say, that chairlift can take about 15 minutes to get to the summit. And so that's time you're just kind of
yeah, because the mountains are so tall.
Exactly. If you're getting up to a 10,000 footer, it's going to take you a while. Whereas, somewhere in the South or the Midwest, if you're just using a tow rope, you can get 4 or 5 runs in by the time someone out West has gotten 1 run in. And so oftentimes it's not so much about the elevation. It's more about just getting as much time on your board as possible. And we're seeing, between some places on the East Coast, the South, and the Midwest, these kids who come from these tow rope terrain parks are just totally crushing it, because they've been able to be on their board pretty much all day long without these kind of long chairlift rides where they're just kind of doing nothing.
Wow. Yeah, I never would have thought that.
Yeah.
More reps on the slopes have helped Southern riders take their skills to new heights. And as a result, Michelle says they're helping redefine what success looks like for the sport.
You might think that would be the Olympics, right, for all of them, but that's really not necessarily the case.
Instead, a lot of snowboarders today are focusing on street riding. It's a highly technical style of riding through a cityscape, with less big jumps and more finely tuned tricks.
Really, what it has its roots in is if you're living in Detroit or where I live in Chicago and it snows and you don't have a hill, you ride down stairs and rails and things like that.
To be clear, North Carolina is not a destination for street riding, but it's an excellent place for snowboarders to sharpen their skills and then go blow people away at a street competition. And nobody is doing that better than one rider, Zeb Powell.
I have been absolutely blown away watching Zeb snowboard over the years.
Dare I say, the most creative man on a snowboard, Zeb Powell.
Rippy flip, nose grab. How does he even think of this, Craig?
Someone like Zeb, obviously coming from North Carolina, very unusual that he could even make it this big to begin with. And he's becoming the face of snowboarding in the US and isn't doing the Olympics. He's not even really doing traditional half pipe or slope style. He's really like a street rider.
26-year-old Zeb Powell grew up in Waynesville in western North Carolina. As a teenager, he gained a reputation for his eccentric riding style. But he exploded onto the national stage in 2020 at the Winter X Games. Here's WNC's resident snowboarder, Josh Sullivan again.
The big thing with Zeb, he's the first Black X Games gold medalist to win an event in snowboarding. And the event is called Knuckle Huck. And it was a pretty new event when he did it.
Zeb Powell out of Waynesville, North Carolina, 20 years old, making his X Games debut.
The Knuckle Huck is like taking all the rules and throwing them out the window and trying to be the most creative and the most stylish and not necessarily spin the most or get the biggest air. He had 3 runs in Knuckle Huck that were so unforgettable, and he was wearing heart-shaped bachelorette party sunglasses that he had literally found on the Airbnb floor, like before he headed over there.
He didn't mean. At no point did Zeb Powell look like he was in control of his body during the entirety of that run. But he just stayed on his feet.
And And he won that event, and he won it in a landslide. His runs were the most creative, and that has shaped the direction of the sport. Snowboarding has been very spin heavy. That's thanks to the Olympics. And a lot of like traditionalists don't like that because that doesn't really coincide with the origin of snowboarding, right? It was like really counterculture, and now people are like leaning into the training portion of it. And it doesn't necessarily look the best, but he really is like brought the world back into this mindset of whatever looks the best or looks the most fun, that is the kind of snowboarding we want to watch.
Since taking the X Games by storm, Zeb has gained a massive following. That includes a huge online fan base and some pretty impressive sponsors.
Last year, he became the first snowboarder to sign with Jordan Brand.
And if you're thinking to yourself, oh, I didn't know Jordan had anything to do with snowboarding, they don't. That's why this is so crazy.
He's truly helping the sport kind of cross over into the mainstream.
He's also brought inclusivity to the sport. Like I said, he's the first Black X Games medalist in snowboarding. That means he's in people's feeds who would never, ever watch snowboarding, right? Their social media feeds or his YouTube videos. And he's only 26, but he's already impacted so many riders and changed the way that they ride just simply because they watch him and they're like, I really thought that was cool. I want to ride like that.
But can the likes of Zeb Powell expand snowboarding's southern footprint? Or is this all just a fluke? We'll head to the slopes and find out after a short break.
Woo! What's up, dude? How are we doing? Good to see you, Don.
Okay, Josh, let's go to the slopes. You went to an event recently in Western North Carolina. Set the scene.
Yeah, so Zeb, with his best friend Alex Kakamo, hosted the Zeb and Cax NC Pop Out. It's basically just a fancy marketing name for a community ride event. It's just Zeb and his crew, and they gather as many pros from North Carolina as possible, and they invite other people in. And so they basically just go around and they ride with the community.
Energy's good today.
Yeah, man.
There's music blasting, and people from 4 years old to like 54 years old are there riding, watching. And then you see literally some of the best snowboarders in the world putting on an absolute clinic. It's incredible.
Everybody has a smile on their face right here, right now. Everybody's having a good time. Some people are snowboarding, some people are snowboarding, people are filming, people are watching. Everybody's just happy.
I talked to Caden Racinko. He just turned 20 years old. He's a pro rider from the Black Mountain area that now lives in Utah.
It's wild. NC's so different. It'll be 70 degrees one day. It'll be in the single digits the next. You never know what you're going to get from NC.
When you do these community ride events, I think a lot of people assume that it's for the community, right? It's a very unselfish way of giving back to like the people who kind of raised you. It's a way to inspire the next generation. What I learned was that the riders need this as much as the community does. Snowboarding is kind of a slog of a career. Like, it's not like you can just show up, ride your best, and get a huge paycheck. It doesn't work like that. It's not at that level yet. And I think for a lot of people, especially a lot of pros that come back, it reminds them of how they started.
I'm making sure we're dialed here. Keep the kids stoked as well is the main thing that we need to keep going here. So yeah, always.
One of the people I talked to was Luke Winkleman, who grew up riding at Apski. Luke was kind of on the track to make the Olympics in slopestyle and big air.
That was a strong showing for American Luke Winkleman on his first run. The 21-year-old looking for a big score here needs better than a...
He's an unbelievable rider. There's a lot of people who would say he's the best all-around rider riding a snowboard today, period.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, he had a knee injury that ultimately led him to be delayed at qualifying for the Olympics, and he had to kind of pull out, give up on his Olympic dreams for this year. You know, that's like really taxing to put that much effort into coming back and then not because of your own doing, just because of an injury, come up short. And he's been really positive about it. He's just happy to snowboard again, but obviously that takes a toll.
How's it feel to be back right now?
Oh, it feels so nice, especially being here at home and like riding with the hometown gang. Like I've needed it to say the least.
This community ride event, he's riding with people he grew up both coaching and being coached by. He's just riding the exact same course that he used to ride when he was 9, 10, 11 years old. He's told me he keeps an eye on like the webcam of the park all the way in California where he lives right now every day just to see like what they're setting up. And it seemed like it was reminded him why he fell in love with snowboarding.
Test. Can you start off by telling me your name, your age, and where you're from?
I am Zeb Powell. I'm 25, almost 26. And I'm from North Carolina, Waynesville.
So you talked to Zeb while you were out there. Tell me about your conversation with him.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I mean, Zeb's kind of the Michael Jordan of snowboarding. He's just the most recognizable. But the sense that I got was just the reason he is at where he is because of the community that surrounded him, took him in, and he wants to make sure that he's able to do the same for like the younger riders going forward. He's as big of a fan as the young kids coming up as people are of him.
It means so much for the community to have a heartbeat, not just be another ski mountain, but to have a heartbeat. And, on some real shit, it's just fun to give back to my community.
Do you mind?
What's your name?
Thank you, Alex.
This event that you went to sounds pretty unique. What would you say are his hopes for holding an event like this? What does he want it to do?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of places that have snowboarding and have ski hills. There's not a lot of places that foster a culture like this. I think he wants to take the platform that he has since gotten after winning X Games and signing with Jordan and turn around and just shine a light on the South and make sure other people don't get passed over just because of where they are.
I got so many people who are they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, North Carolina. And they're like, what the hell? Like, there's mountains down there? I'm like, oh yeah, we got mountains, baby. So it's nice to put North Carolina on the map. I don't feel like I'm putting them on the map. I just like to show love, and it's all happening naturally. So.
Say thank you to these riders that took time out of their busy schedules to come hang with us in North Carolina. That's so sick.
So even though North Carolina's infrastructure isn't huge, there are only 6 official spots to ski and snowboard. The state is having an outsized impact on the sport. Zeb Powell touts that as something happening organically. But action sports writer Michelle Bruton says being able to claim the sport's biggest names can't hurt.
One of the most important things that can happen to get young people excited about skiing or snowboarding is having a pro athlete come out of your state. And it's just like that success only begets more success.
So, Michelle, do you think that the success of Southern snowboarders is a trend or a fluke?
I think it's definitely a trend, and I think it's hopefully only going to continue growing. We talked about the kind of exposure and visibility that Luke Winkleman and Zeb Powell are bringing. And when they make it big, they can utilize their relationships with their sponsors to kind of make the road easier for the next generation and kind of lift people up behind them. And we're seeing that that's what they're doing. So I think we're going to see a lot more Luke Winklemans and Zeb Powells in the future.
I don't think it's a fluke. I will say this, I've lived in a few different places. North Carolina's snowboarding culture, it's smaller, but it's deeper. So it's the best snowboard culture I've really seen. There's a lot of ripping riders that are coming up. And I just think the amount of dedication that the members of the community are putting into snowboarding, there's no way it doesn't continue to grow. What that growth looks like, I'm not totally sure, but I'd be shocked if in the next 20 years we don't have an Olympian from North Carolina. I really would be.
The Winter Olympics begin on February 6th in Milano, Italy. If you'd like to follow Michelle Bruton's coverage, we've dropped a link in this week's show notes. This episode of The Broadside was produced by Charlie Shelton Ormond and featured field reporting from Josh Sullivan. It was edited by Jared Walker. Our executive producer is Wilson Sayre. This week, we featured archival recordings from NBC Sports and the X Games. The Broadside is a production of WUNC News in North Carolina and is part of the NPR network. If you have feedback or a story idea, you can email us at broadside@wunc.org. If you enjoyed the show, leave us a rating, a review, or share it with a friend. I'm Anissa Khalifa. Thanks for listening, y'all. We'll be back next week.
Pluto TV has thousands of free movies and TV shows.
What? This is the mindset. Free. This is the mantra. Free. This is the mindset.
With movies like Joe Dirt, Pixels, and 50 First Dates. This is awesome. And TV shows like Survivor, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Ghosts. Pluto TV is always free.
Huzzah!
Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
You're welcome.